Hello, Cameron Davis again, and this time I'm going to be running through another prediction video of mine. This one's going to be a match that's going to take place today, March 26th, this evening, between UCI Gold and UCSC Slugs. So first off, I'm just going to give a little rundown of the teams and any sort of tendencies that I can see them play. UCI Gold, their roster is Strawberries, Rokuro, Zinkong, Spaz, and Djibouti. Strawberries is definitely their primary carry. That's not to say that the rest of the team is completely useless. It's not the case at all. But and maybe it's just because he's the most reckless one, as well, and he go out and get a couple of kills. But the rest of the team are perfectly adequate of cleaning up behind him. It's not like without him they're nothing or anything like that. The one thing that I just note about them, as from what I can see in their demos, is that they play very, very, very good together. They have very good communication, and this has allowed them to open up to being really versatile on how they play. This is most notable on the terrorist side. But one example of this is that versus UBC Cat Bubbles, they started off playing more of a pack-based terrorist side, but when that didn't work, I think it was when they were down 5-2. They switched up their strategy and started spreading out and playing more for picks before entering into a site. Because previously, when they entered into a site as all 4 or 5, depending on if they had a lurk or not, they would really just get shut down by the anchors on the site, the CT anchors. But then they started to spread out and they got picks. They got the man advantage, and they would go into the site and have relatively easy victory from then on out. And even when they do spread out, it's not at all like they have individual isolated incidents around the different spots on the map. Where they all are is very much still interconnected. At least I don't know. At least that's what I was seeing. And so like that again plays into why I think they have very, very, very good communication. They would And on the CT side, they also have adaptable CT positioning. They don't play the exact same default setup, like same spot, like 2 on B, 1 mid, 2 on A, and the exact positions on B and mid and A. It's not like that. They would swap it up a lot, but because they would swap it up at, they'd communicate where they'd be going. There were very few, if any, glaring holes in their defense that the T's could the word Chiefs could use to their advantage to then get into a side and get the round win. On the other side of it, we have UCSC Slugs. They are Sayo, Schneep, Mix, Next Genie, and Nevin. They also have Quantum and M Era. Actually, which ones are the main roster? I know versus Oregon State, they had Next Genesi. Come on, load faster. Yeah, they had Nevin, Next Genesi, Schneep, Sayo, and Meeks. Against CPP, they had Nevin, Next Genesi, Quantum, Sayo, and Schneep. So yeah, they had like 7 members. They kind of rotate them around. Hopefully, for their sake, Meeks is the one that shows up against UCI because he's definitely their strongest player. Sayo is kind of like their secondary backup carry as well, and also does a lot of the entries. But Meeks is definitely their strongest player. And so hopefully he's there against UCI. If not, this game may be quite a bit harder for them. But about them, on their team play and all that, is on the terrorist side, they are very much dedicated to the pack play. They will sometimes have a lurk player, and that lurk player will be there to either catch, rotate, stop the other site from rotating, or to watch for anyone pushing up and on their flank. but it's no, I don't think I ever saw more than one person doing that, and the other four are always together engaging onto a site. They don't play for picks. They'll take like they'll look out for the first couple of moments into the round, and they'll see if they can't get any. But they don't play for them in that sense. They don't play around them. They kind of just engage onto the site, and they're relatively successful with it. That being said, they can get confused if the strat starts to fall apart, whether they get picked, like a few members of them get picked at the start, or just there's a spot on the site that didn't get checked, or the CTs are rotating in too quickly for them to get their post-time positions. They can kind of fall apart. However, they have had some really good solo clutch moments, and so the talent is definitely there within the team. It's just their team play maybe is like a little lacking, definitely, especially compared to UCI Gold. On the CT side, they can have a somewhat aggressive CT side. Yeah. Which is fine. It's not overly aggressive. The only problem that I see with it is that if a couple of members, if they go down a couple of members, if they get picked, other spots, like say there's like a player picked player picked B and a player picked mid, a player on A will then kind of push out and try and find a counter pick or reactionary catch of their own. And it's worked well so far, just because against the caliber of teams that they've played against has been on the lower caliber, with that don't really watch their back as much, especially after they get picks. They think, oh, they're just going to be rotating through the safe way. And so it's been relatively successful for them so far. But I don't know if that's going to be successful against UCI Gold. I don't think it will be. I think that they're actually going to over push for it, over dedicate to it, and that may actually make them, like, you know, I mean, they're like, say you're already down 5-3, they're push it so they'll be down 5-2, and then like no way to win the round. Hopefully, my hope is that if that ends up happening, and it doesn't work for a couple rounds, and they'll stop that. But if that's just like in their DNA and they keep pushing for it, I think UCI is definitely gonna have a lot easier time if that is the case. That being said, I'm a little too hesitant to say that they have a better CT side than CT side, UCSC. But it's definitely been more successful so far. Now, as far as this particular matchup between UCI and UCSC, the first two maps have a 90% chance to be Cash and Mirage. And I just say that because every single series that they've played has been Cash and Mirage. So not only do neither of them ban these two, they both pick probably both of them, unless all of their opponents have all picked Cash and they just pick Mirage. Like they probably pick both of them. Neither of them ban it. I know neither of them ban Overpass. UCI doesn't ban Nuke. Other than that, I have no clue what their map pool is, so I really don't know what the third one is. Probably it's gonna be Nuke or Overpass, or I don't know whichever. I don't know what they ban. I can't tell based off of what the third map is. I wasn't able to see a pattern on what the third map just because of how the randomizer works. But we're definitely gonna see Cash and Mirage there at first. And because of that, honestly, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna give this to UCI. It's gonna be close, but I think UCI's communication and versatility and adaptability is definitely gonna come out on top. However, if Mix, hopefully he's playing this Sunday, but if Mix and Sayo can really step it up. And obviously the entire team needs to play as good as they can, but especially if Mix and Sayo can step it up and challenge Strawberries in particular on UCI, but just UCI in general, then they can perhaps upset. But overall, I am going to give this to UCI, and I'm actually going to give it to them 2-0. It's not going to be dominant map wins. Like I'm expecting it to be like 16-13s around that area, but I'm still going to give it 2-0 to UCI.